She had just shared her victory with the world 60 days sober, clean and clear after a brutal battle with addiction. Her voice was steady, her eyes hopeful, and her spirit finally rising above the chaos. Kylie Page, once a breakout star in the adult film industry, was finally reclaiming her life. But just days later, that hope turned to heartbreak. Kylie was found dead in her home, surrounded by the very substance she had worked so hard to escape. Her sudden death didn't just silence a promising comeback. It sent a chilling message through the entire adult entertainment industry and recovery community. Sometimes even your strongest moment comes right before the fall. She wasn't just a performer. She was a survivor. And now she's a tragic reminder of how fragile recovery really is. After years of battling substance abuse, Kylie had reached a deeply personal milestone. 2 months clean and sober, a journey she was proud of and had started sharing with others. She had become involved in local recovery groups, even leading Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and mentoring others who were struggling with similar demons. But days after this quiet triumph, she was found dead of a suspected fentanyl overdose, a devastating end to a story that had just started to show signs of hope. Born Kylie Page, the Oklahoma native rose to fame in the mid-2010s and appeared in over 200 adult films. She was featured in Netflix's Hot Girls Wanted, Turned On, which documented the realities and harsh truths behind the adult entertainment world. Although she gained fame, it came at a cost. Kylie's battle with addiction reportedly began in her teenage years, worsened during her time in the adult industry, and followed her even after she stepped away from the spotlight. She checked into multiple rehab facilities, lived in sober living homes, and often opened up about her struggles on social media. Those who knew her say she had recently begun to rebuild her life with purpose. She had reconnected with her family, focused on mental health, and was working on music and writing. Her mother shared that she spoke with Kylie just the day before her death and noticed her daughter sounding happy but tired. For those closest to Kylie Page, the days leading up to her death felt like the beginning of something new. After years of struggling with substance abuse, emotional breakdowns, and the brutal weight of addiction, Kylie had taken meaningful steps to reclaim her life. She had chosen sobriety, and for once, it wasn't just a promise, it was real. She wasn't just surviving, she was healing. Kylie had become active in her local recovery community, attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, speaking up about her journey, and even mentoring other women in early recovery. Friends said she carried herself differently, with more strength, more softness, more clarity. There was a visible light in her that hadn't been there in years. And then came the milestone. Just 1 week before her death, Kylie shared a quiet but proud achievement with a close circle. 60 days sober, 60 days of fighting cravings, 60 days of staying present, 60 days of holding herself accountable. For someone with Kylie's history, someone who had battled addiction on and off since her teenage years, this was monumental. She was looking ahead. She was thinking about moving out of California, considering going back to school, and even pursuing music, something she had loved long before the adult film industry pulled her in. She spoke to her mother just days before she died. According to her family, Kylie sounded hopeful, calm, and tired. But it was the good kind of tired, the kind that follows hard work and healing. Nobody could have imagined what would come next. On the morning of June 25, 2025, concern turned into fear when Kylie stopped responding to calls and texts. It was unusual. She had been actively checking in with her sponsor, her support group, and her family, something she had never done during her worst moments of addiction. When no one could reach her, a welfare check was requested. Police arrived at her apartment in Los Angeles. Inside, they found her unresponsive, alone in her room, surrounded by fentanyl and drug paraphernalia. The scene was heartbreaking. The very thing she had spent years running from had taken her, quietly and suddenly. Paramedics confirmed there was no sign of a struggle, no note, no forced entry. just silence. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has yet to release the official cause of death, but authorities suspect a fatal overdose, likely accidental. Those close to Kylie believe she may have relapsed just once, and that one moment was enough. And that's what makes fentanyl so terrifying. Fentanyl is not like other drugs. It's not a slow descent. It doesn't always offer second chances. Just a tiny amount, the size of a grain of salt, can be lethal. It's being mixed into counterfeit pills, heroin, cocaine, and even marijuana, often without users ever knowing. Many who overdose on fentanyl didn't mean to. They thought they were taking something else. That's what some believe happened to Kylie. Friends and advocates in the recovery community believe she may have taken a substance she thought was safe, only to find it laced with fentanyl. For someone recently clean, even a small relapse can be catastrophic, especially when tolerance is low. Her death is a grim reminder that addiction is not just about willpower. It's about survival in a world where one mistake can mean the end. Recovery is never a straight line. People often forget that relapse doesn't erase recovery. Kylie had put in the work. She had shown up, fought back, and started rebuilding her life. That deserves to be honored, not erased because of a tragic end. Addiction is a disease, and like any disease, it can return even after remission. What Kylie achieved in those 60 days matters. It mattered to her family, and to every person she helped along the way. Those who knew her say Kylie was more than her past. She was fiercely loyal, generous to a fault, and had a laugh that could brighten even the darkest room. She loved animals, was obsessed with 90s music, and would send 3 texts in a row just to make someone smile. She tried, and in the end, she didn't fail. Her body just couldn't keep up with the strength of her spirit. Since her passing, tributes have poured in from friends, fans, and fellow performers who say they saw her as a fighter, a light, and a voice for those struggling in silence. Her family launched a GoFundMe campaign to help bring her body home and to give her a quiet, respectful farewell surrounded by those who loved her beyond the fame. The adult film industry also paid tribute, calling Kylie a beacon of kindness and resilience, and someone who left a lasting impression on everyone she met. But beyond the headlines, the hashtags, and the sadness, Kylie Page leaves behind something more powerful, a reminder that recovery is not perfection. It's a fight, a decision, a daily war, often fought in silence. She fought with everything she had. And though she's gone, her courage will continue to speak to others who are still fighting. Absolutely. Here is an extended and emotionally rich version of the section, titled Tributes Pour In. She was light, she was love, expanded to highlight more voices, emotional tones, and the collective grief and respect surrounding Kylie Page's passing. Tributes pour in. She was light, she was love. The moment news broke of Kylie Page's tragic death, a wave of grief and disbelief swept across social media and community forums. Friends, fans, and even people who had never met her in person, but had followed her journey from afar, came forward to mourn the loss of a woman who had fought hard, loved deeply, and made a lasting impact through her honesty, resilience, and efforts toward recovery. Many who knew Kylie personally described her as a source of warmth and positivity, someone who could walk into a room and immediately lift the energy. Greater than she was sunshine in a storm, said one close friend. You could be having the worst day of your life, and Kylie would walk in, and suddenly everything felt a little lighter. She always had a kind word, a warm hug, and a laugh that made everything feel okay, even just for a moment. Fans echoed that sentiment online, posting tributes and messages of heartbreak. One shared, "Greater than she was the first public figure I saw talk openly about mental health and addiction recovery. I never met her, but her words gave me hope when I was struggling. She made me feel less alone." Another wrote, "I saw her speak at a recovery meeting a few months ago. She hugged everyone there and told her story without shame. She really cared about people and you could feel it. Her family, still reeling from the sudden loss, released a heartfelt statement through a GoFundMe page created to help with funeral and travel arrangements. Greater than Kylie was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a fighter. She loved fiercely, laughed loudly, and touched more lives than she ever realized. Greater than we are devastated, but we're proud of her strength, her heart, and the way she tried again and again, even when it hurt. The fundraiser quickly turned into a kind of digital memorial, as hundreds of supporters left comments, not just about her personal accomplishments, but about her courage, her kindness, and the way she openly shared her battles with addiction and mental health. Members of the recovery community also paid tribute, describing Kylie as a beacon of hope for those early in their sobriety journey. She showed up to meetings even when she was struggling, wrote one peer. She said the things the rest of us were scared to say. That gave people courage. That gave people permission to be real. That's a gift most don't have. What stood out most in the tributes wasn't just admiration for what she had overcome, but recognition of the kind of person she was becoming. Not defined by her past, but by her will to change. Not remembered for her image, but for her heart. Kylie's death is a painful reminder that recovery isn't linear. It's an ongoing battle that requires daily strength. Even after reaching key milestones, the risk remains high, especially in a world where one mistake or misstep, particularly in the presence of dangerous substances like fentanyl, can be deadly. Though her journey was cut short, her courage was not in vain. She was lifting others up even as she fought her own demons. She was trying. She never gave up. And for many, she left behind a legacy of honesty, empathy, and unshakable determination. Your fight was real. Your light was undeniable. And your story will never be forgotten.